All right, here we go. Hi everybody, how you doing? This is a video I'm going to show you. I'm going to do the whole setup for the movie review project. This is start to finish how to set up your computer. I'm going to do a read through so you can see how I do the read through with all the mistakes and everything. And then the next video is going to show the editing process for this. So first things first, when setting up your camera, I'm doing this with my computer itself. I'm not using an external camera. I'm doing it right on the computer. You can do this too at home. You can use QuickTime Player on your computer if you have a Mac. Open up QuickTime, go File, New Movie Recording, and use the FaceTime camera right here on your computer and the built-in microphone. I happen to be using an external microphone because I have one. But if you don't have that, you can use an internal microphone and record right to your computer. Think about your background. I'm in the corner of the house. I have my fireplace behind me, board games over here. I don't have a window in the background. That's most important. I don't have a big empty void of the rest of the house in the background. You don't want someone randomly walking through it in the middle of your review and messing up your whole shot and you have to start again. I've actually had to redo this a couple times already because my computer keeps stopping the recording for whatever reason. So hopefully this works the whole time this time. I also have a lamp right here next to me. It's just a regular household lamp I'm using as a fill light and a key light. So make sure you have good lighting. Remember your rule of thirds. My eyes are kind of on that crosshatch right there for the rule of thirds. My laptop is not sitting on its desk. I'm not looking down at my computer. I have this elevated. I'm going to show you pictures right here of how I have my setup. So that way, I have a laptop stand and a board game that's on top of. You could just put on a couple board games or some books, but get that camera at about the same height as your eyes. So when you look at the camera, like I am right now, I'm looking straight at you. I don't want to be looking down. That looks very awkward. I know we're used to that right now with everyone doing Zoom meetings and everything, but that's not the optimal way. So I'm going to move this to my other screen there. Now I have my script in Word on the screen here. So I'm just going to read the script. I have my mouse in my hand. I'm going to use this to scroll through my script so that way I'm not touching the desk just because I have this set up on a table, and if I touch it, that happens. And that's not good. And I also don't want to reach forward for it. So it's nice if you have an external mouse, you can do this. If not, do it in chunks. Don't be afraid to break it up. You want to do multiple takes and take your time with this. So I'm going to go through this now. I might have to do this in more than one take if my computer decides to stop recording again. Hopefully it doesn't. And here I go. My review of Blazing Saddles, classic 1974 film. Let me take a swig of water first. Always hydrate. There we go. 3, 2, 1. This is one of the all-time classic films. Written by... Man, I messed up right at the beginning. 3, 2, 1. This is one of the all-time classic films. Written by comedic geniuses and loaded with a cast of brilliant comedic actors. This film uses race in a very blunt way in the backdrop of the Old West. I'm Keith Strahovey. This is a look back at the 1974 Mel Brooks film, Blazing Saddles. To the new viewer, there's one thing that will stand out right away about this film and maybe question whether they should even be watching it. That is the very casual use of the N-word. If you are one that listens to gangster rap or watches movies by Spike Lee or Quentin Tarantino, then this is not odd to you. A movie from a white Jewish comedian? That's a different story. And that's why Mel Brooks was smart enough to have Richard Pryor, noted black comedian and actor. Let me do that whole thing again. I'll go back to this line. 3, 2, 1. A movie from a Jewish white comedian? That's a different story. And this is why Mel Brooks was smart enough to have Richard Pryor, noted black comedian and actor, be part of his writing staff for the film. Actually, Brooks wanted Pryor to play the part of Sheriff Bart in the film, but Pryor declined. The story takes off when the railroad that is being built wants to build right through a town. They can't legally evict the citizens, so a plan is to drive them out as hatched. Blech. Do that again. 3, 2, 1. The story takes off when the 3, 2, 1. The story takes off when the railroad that is being built wants to build right through a town. They can't legally evict the citizens, so a plan to drive them out is hatched. The devious Hedley Lamar, played by Harvey Korman, convinces the governor, played by Mel Brooks, to send the town a new sheriff that solely posts a city. 3, 2, 1. They can't legally evict the citizens, so a plan to dry them out is hatched. The devious Hedley Lamar, played by Harvey Korman, convinces the governor, played by Mel Brooks, to send the town a new sheriff that would so repulse the citizens that they would leave the town on their own. That new sheriff? Former railroad worker Bart, played by Cleavon Little. What makes him so bad? Have you ever heard of a black sheriff in the Old West? The citizens of the town. 3, 2, 1. The citizens of the town are portrayed as a small, white bread 3, 2, 1. The citizens of the town are portrayed as a small, inbred community, all white and all from the same family tree. When they discover the new sheriff is black, they quickly roll up the welcome mat. Sheriff Bart's only friend at the start is a drunk locked up in the sheriff's office, played by Gene Wilder. You know, as a kid, the only film I had ever seen Gene Wilder in before this was Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. Man, I love that movie. The on-screen chemistry between Gene Wilder and Cleavon Little is one of the strongest parts of this film. They deliver most of the punchlines, all with a straight face and the occasional wink to the audience. And a cast full of character actors, they are the leading roles that this film revolves around. At first, the film focuses on the white bread town and their lack of acceptance of their new sheriff. All of that changes when the railroad realizes... 3, 2, 1. All of that changes when the railroad realizes that their efforts... Railroad. It's a hard word to say sometimes. 3, 2, 1. At first, the film focuses on the white bread town and their lack of acceptance of their new sheriff. All of that changes when the railroad realizes that their efforts to have the town move out by giving them a black sheriff isn't working as planned. As the attacks on the town increase, Sheriff Bart starts to take lead and not only continues to protect them, but slowly starts to earn the respect of the citizens. Although this film... 3, 2, 1. Although this film is 4 decades old, I am not going to tell you the end. Just know that in typical Mel Brooks fashion, it breaks down to a slapstick masterpiece of fun. 3, 2, 1. Although this film is 4 decades old. 3, 2, 1. Although this film is 4 decades old, I am not going to tell you the end. Just know that in typical... Typical. 3, 2, 1. Although this film... 3, 2, 1. Although this film is 4 decades old, I am not going to tell you the end. Just know that in typical Mel Brooks fashion, it breaks down to a slapstick masterpiece of fun. I looked at the other screen. That was bad. Okay, do it without looking to the side. 3, 2, 1. Although this film is 4 decades old, I'm not going to tell you the end. Just know that in typical Mel Brooks fashion, it breaks down to a slapstick masterpiece of fun. I've seen this movie countless times since the 90s, and every time I see something different in it. Probably because as I age, I gain new insight into different messages. A couple of years ago, I went to a screening of the film that was followed by a Q&A with Mel Brooks himself. As I reflect on this movie today, I can confidently say that this movie is about more than just race. That is the part that is in your face. Look, it's the one black man in a sea of white. And they use the N-word throughout the whole film. But just like The Cosby Show, this film is about more than race. Today, I think it is more about class. The railroad company used the government to try to divide the town by using race. Many people say this movie could never be made today, but the message is still relevant. The ruling class sought to divide a working class town based on fears of race. Sadly, this is something we can see... 3, 2, 1. Sadly, this is something we can still see happening in our world today. The ruling class still keeps the working class fighting amongst themselves while remaining in power. Now, if you couldn't tell, I highly recommend you... 3, 2, 1. Now, if you couldn't tell, I highly recommend that you watch this film, but maybe without the kids, and don't watch it on TV. You don't want the edited version. It just doesn't have the same punch. Until next time, I'm Keith. Thanks for watching.